All right, let's talk about the Democrats. This is objectively hilarious. Jon Stewart interviewing Jen Psaki with some shocking moments for Jen Psaki, not for everybody else. Let's take a listen.
I've been shocked by how undemocratic the Democratic Party can be.
Tell me, what do you mean by, I don't disagree with you necessarily, but what do you mean by that?
By putting their foot on the scales to get, make sure that Hillary Clinton comes out of the thing, or make sure that, that they're listening to that anger about the way that even the ACA, quite frankly, struck me as a very conservative.
You mean because it didn't have a public option in it?
Correct. That it didn't address the very thing that was causing the foundational upset. If I were to break this down narratively, what I think the Democrats have forgotten is government may not be perfect, but it's the only thing large enough to offset multinational corporate exploitation and corruption.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't act like that's urgent and that affects people's lives, then so if the big policies that we make are billions more dollars to insurance companies that we think are fucking people over left and right for their healthcare, so isn't that part of why people lost faith?
Yeah. So yes, I think we're saying, well, I'm trying to say something similar, which is this.
Boom, boom.
Which is Democrats just lost everything. They control nothing. They control, I mean, they don't control the House, they don't control the Senate, they don't control the White House, and they don't control the Supreme Court. So now is the time to break some shit, right? And break some China.
They do control the email lists that continue to ask for money.
All right, break it down for me, Ryan. What's your personal favorite? My favorite was, whenever he talks about that.
Like, we're going to go there.
She's like, but that's ancient history. We've moved on from that.
My favorite was when she, and you can roll it back and see it, she literally rolls her eyes at the public option.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
She's like, oh God, this again, the freaking public option.
She's like, we moved past this, John. What are you still fighting these fights for? Okay, so.
These damn people who wanted the government to come in and solve a major problem in their lives. And that's what gets the eye roll. The whole thing is just personally demoralizing in the sense that looking back at my career, which came in before the public option, but like I spent a year and a half covering the fight over the public option, and then covered the 2016 presidential campaign, and knowing that like if they would have listened to people like us, there's a good chance you fend off this populist right and instead channel the energy into a populist left. They didn't, and so it's like I don't have the energy to even do the I told you so's and like with Psaki, like, and she and I are both like yeah. But to me it's like, well, you guys won, everybody lost, and it is what it is.
And she's on MSNBC now.
And she's on MSNBC.
And she's got the power. She's got the wine moms in her pocket. I don't mean the entire exchange.
I don't know how much in their pocket. I feel like the Democratic base is pissed off.
Yeah, okay, so I've been talking about this with Crystal. What do you make of all this Democratic activism? Like, is it real?
There's a
So people are lighting up the phone lines, right? But now I don't take phone line as, so just because your base is pissed off about something does not indicate that the entire country is pissed off about something. It just means your base is. So you would see this all the time with Republicans, right? So for, what was it, when Obergefell happened, you had a bunch of Christian Republicans light up Republican phone lines, be like, what are you guys going to do about this? Doesn't mean that being anti-gay marriage or whatever was popular, but it did mean it animated a certain percentage of the population. What do you make of the Democratic activism right now?
I think the key thing to understand is that our understanding of Democratic activism is mediated through the mainstream media because those organs are more associated with the center left, the New York Times, the MSNBC, CNN, and MSNBC and CNN have basically given up. Like they're not leading the resistance the way that they did in 2017. And so you could have similar levels of anger from Democrats across the country as you had in 2017, but you wouldn't hear about it because you're not going to hear it from like the Joe Rogan universe. Like they don't care. That's not the thing that they are covering. And if you don't hear it from CNN and MSNBC, then you're not going to hear it from anybody, basically. And so you have to actually be in it to see it. And so as a result of that, the broader public doesn't see the energy out there. And Democrats in Congress are just annoyed at it.
I saw that.
You saw Crystal's thing.
Yeah, I did.
And I think we might have Ezra Levine on Wednesday on Counterpoints.
Okay.
He's like public enemy number one.
Who is he? Move on.
He's the Indivisible co-founder. Because he's like, they've got millions of people who have ideas.
So then let me ask you what I asked her. What are they supposed to do?
Well, the thing they want them to do is to fight around the March 14th budget and to say, and to check Elon, like what they're trying to do is we need to check Elon Musk with our power in the House because congressional Republicans need our votes to do a government funding bill. And
so they want to act like the Tea Party, basically.
Yeah, and the only thing they want is some checks on Doge. Like that's the thing. They're like, let's fight for something, and let's stop Elon Musk from destroying the federal government. Like that's the thing they want.
So I don't know. I still grapple with. It's because we was talking with Crystal and she was like, all you have is attention. And I'm like, it's like, do people want to see Maxwell Frost like do a sit-in in front of the USAID bill? I mean, you just think you look like an idiot, personally. Is that what the Democratic base wants? Like, they want them to fight on the budget issue? Would that even be enough for them? Like, if I think back to the Tea Party and like what they were able to do, it took taking super unpopular positions, holding the government hostage, and you needed Fox News, like a constant media drumbeat. Yeah, which they don't have. But I mean, maybe they do. I mean, I was looking at Midas Touch, which I try to pay attention to them now because I think they're like the heart of the Democratic resistance. And I mean, a lot of this stuff is like, I don't see politicians per se like engaging with it. A lot of it is just like Trump loses it as he gets laughed at by the world. 716,000 views. A lot of it is like dunk on Trump content, which I guess obviously there's still an appetite for. No hate. Listen, it's a free market. I wish you guys the best, but I don't see how that translates into being a Democratic politician. I just don't understand how they are supposed to channel that energy, because we talked about this last time, which is that Russiagate was fake at the end of part of the reason why they're so demoralized is they staked everything on a genuine lie about it was an undemocratic literal lie about Donald Trump. And so that's why they don't have any ground to fight on. And that's why I don't know what the quote unquote Democratic base wants their politicians to fight on when all they're fighting, it's like for what? The integrity of USAID? It's like, okay, I mean, be my guest. I just don't see how that hits at all.
Maybe education department, like FAA, NIH, like that kind of stuff. We'll see. March, we're less than a month away from this funding deadline. And who knows what stuff Elon Musk breaks between now and then, if anything.
True. I mean, that's the risk, though. But at the end of the day, it's still reactive. You're waiting for your enemy to screw up as opposed to like proposing anything else. We see some of this with Hakeem Jeffries, by the way. Let's take a listen.
Donald Trump's favorability rating is actually higher than it ever was the first time around. Let me ask you, a recent poll by Marquette looked at several of the things that he has done or says that he is going to do, and 63% favor federal government's recognition of only two sexes, 60% favor deporting immigrants who entered the United States illegally, 60% favor expanding oil and gas production, 59% favor declaring an emergency at the southern border. Is there anything you are seeing that Trump is doing that you are in favor of, that you think is the right thing?
Let me say, as it relates to all of those issues, we're just at the beginning. And the core promise that Donald Trump made is that he's going to lower costs for everyday Americans. In fact, we were told that grocery prices would go down on day one, on January 20th. Costs aren't lower. In fact, costs are increasing. The price of eggs is skyrocketing out of control. Inflation is on the way up. That was the core promise that's been broken. With respect to immigration, listen, we have to secure the border. We have a broken immigration system, and we need to fix it in a comprehensive and bipartisan way. At the same period of time, as Democrats, we're going to protect dreamers, protect farm workers, and protect families who help our communities across the country thrive.
I don't even know where to start with this guy. He's got negative charisma, no political response. That is where I do feel some what sympathy for the liberals out there. Where I'm like, man, it's like. But I will tell you, you're the people who set up the system that promoted the Hakeem Jeffries of the world and the complete monarchy of Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer over the Democratic Party, where they can handpick whoever they want. There's not even a semblance of popularity whenever it comes to who's controlling the response for this party, who just suffered a massive loss.
So this was one of the more demoralizing moments too, when the left knocked Joe Crowley out, who was supposed to be the next speaker.
Right.
And he was caucus chair at the time. And so then Barbara Lee runs for caucus chair against Hakeem Jeffries, who is Crowley's protege.
Yes.
And Jeffries wins. So it's like, I just don't have the energy.
You're just, what are the activists? They'd be like, I'm just so tired of being tired.
I was tired of being tired.
Tired.
I was. But what's interesting is that, and what's interesting about that clip in particular, Jeffries, whatever you think about his politics, is actually one of the more talented communicators that they've ever had in a leadership role. And that was not an energetic performance at all. And I think that there's a substance and a structural problem but beneath it. In 2017, 2018, when Democrats are feeling their oats, Hakeem Jeffries could get on any cable program or get on the House floor and give a speech that to Democrats was inspiring because they had a sense of what their moral core was, and Trump, and it was immigration, and he was treating Trump was evil and awful, and they were going to stand up to him, and they don't have that anymore. At the end, he finishes by what the Democratic compromise is on immigration, rather than what it used to be. The yard sign that said "All are welcome." All are welcome. It has a moral urgency to it, and that allowed people like Jeffries to speak with more confidence. And so to have somebody who's as good a communicator as him sound so bad and so to lack so much confidence suggests that the Democrats really just don't have their footing.
I agree. They just.
And he's got a clean hit with the hey, didn't you say you were going to do something about inflation?
Yes.
That's their cleanest hit.
Right. But they're so dizzied by Elon and all this other stuff, they just don't know what to do. Well, I'm sure we'll keep talking about it. It is one of the central stories. It's kind of hilarious, honestly, to see them all fall apart. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.